Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to go through a famous day for the Reds, the first Wembley win for the FA Cup for 15 years. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? I'm going to my namesake, Mr. Daniel Rhodesy. It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming, and I'm not sure many of us have been that bothered for large parts of it because we haven't had a squad strong enough to cope. But yeah, that was amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm all behind the FA Cup these days.
Now you can manage it. You're all now we feel it's true though. I think it's true. I mean, we have been. I think we've all recognised that we couldn't sustain a league challenge, didn't we? We've been happy to throw the early round games if you can't get through with the squad players, haven't we? We've been happy to go out, and we've used free weekends, haven't we, Rhodesy, where we would have been in a cup game, and we've used that to our benefit in some of our previous league campaigns, haven't we?
Just to refresh the players because we didn't have a large enough quality of squad either. But now obviously we've in the first couple of rounds this season we did, and our second team is a lot better than it's ever been. So
yeah, and the other we're a man down tonight. Sai's actually apparently talking to an agent. I don't know if it's his own agent or I know it's his CNN agent or his ESPN agent. But anyway, we are joined by our most qualified sports scientist. It's Dr. Phil Barter from Middlesex University. Good evening, Phil.
How are we doing, boys? You all right?
How are you doing, mate? You mean you're surrounded by a neighbourhood of Chelsea fans, aren't you? So you must be cock a hoop, king of the castle.
It was amazing. I walked out proudly with my Liverpool shirt on after the game. You know, as you do, walk down the street. Told them they took their flags in pretty much, as I said, as Costas turned around in celebration, the flags were down. So
That quick. Well, mine are staying up for another 2 weeks outside the front of mine.
That's good. That's good. Good to hear.
Yeah. But Phil, I mean, it's what building on what me and Bart Rhodesy was saying. It's just nice to be able to do this, isn't it? To be able to go full gun at every single thing we're in, every single competition we're in.
Yeah, I think like you boys, I'd kind of dismissed the cups really because we hadn't won the league in so long. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I would have sacrificed everything to win the league. And I'm not saying I don't want to win the league. I do want to win the league every single season. Yeah. But having now the squad from January, really, you know, with Diaz coming in, just that one player has ignited this charge, if you like. And it's been, as we've said many times, enjoy the ride because I don't know whether we'll have many more seasons like this where you're in two finals. We've been two finals already. We've got 3 games left of the season, another 5. You know, you just think it's great times. It really is. It reminds you back in the days, you know, the 86 side, you know, we were always in the FA Cup final and going for the double and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We win the League Cup earlier in the season. So it was always kind of a double treble type season, wasn't it? So
but early 80s, we won the League Cup about 6 times in a row, 6 years in a row, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just harks back to those days, but this side is, I think, supremely better. But it was good. It was a good day. Very good day. Long, but a good day.
It was a good day. But yeah, I think it's fair to say the manager's changed as well, hasn't he? Because he actively didn't select strong teams in the cup. Not only did the fans not want the teams, the manager didn't select the teams either. But it seems to me, Phil, that since the FA Cup started, the manager has been taking the competition incredibly seriously.
Yeah, but I think also, I mean, you've done a great couple of pieces on we've got the best fifth, sixth, seventh choice strikers in the league, right?
Yeah.
And I think keeping the squad this engaged with the process, the season, this motivated to go out and do that. I mean, Taki finished top scorer for us in the cup. Both
It's
cups.
brilliant, isn't it? Mad,
right, and he didn't even get on the bench. Did he? I don't think he was on the bench.
He didn't make the bench in the final. No.
Right, so you look at that, but you look at the quality of the sides that we've managed to put out. They're not first team, but their first team squad have been training them regularly, and I think it is. You're right. The manager has put a little bit more emphasis on it. I don't know whether some of the articles that came out about the new year about supercharging the Klopp era or that kind of thing. I seem to remember Minister Reddy, but I just think it is also testament to his ability to get 22, 25 players engaged and fully on it at all possible times. And it's only now towards the end of the season where you get a few little faces where they're not happy, Ox, Bobby, that kind of thing. But
I think he's the only one I can think of who has not been engaged in the process, and then there's actively talk that he's not happy because he's not being. He's the only one I can think of. Everybody else, even the other Bitpot players, have
come on and done their bit. I mean, even Dibble came back from an injury, came on, done his bit. I mean, he's not great, is he? But he came on and took some minutes away. Yeah, you're right. Ox is a different kettle of fish, obviously, but he has had minutes for a long, long time. But he seems to be the only one out of all of them that hasn't done it. So, but no, it's phenomenal times, and I don't know whether we'll do it again. Depends on the outcome of this season, I suppose. But
yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we will see. Anyway, we have to talk about the game before the game. First, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 2. And seeing as this match was 6 days ago, we're going to go through the lineups very quickly. We rotated with Tsimikas starting over Robertson. Matip came in over Konate.
Curtis.
Sorry?
Curtis.
Jones came in for Thiago, and it was Jota for Salah in the front three. Now, Barts, you did the Villa preview, as always. They went with Coutinho, not Buendia. You said maybe watch out for Buendia, I think. But otherwise, the 4-3-4-4 Diamond 2, whatever it's 4-3-1-2.
I think that as expected. I think as I said, the pivot point their 6, if you like, has been changing quite a lot. And they went with Marvellous for this game as in the 6, but previous games have been playing a defender, so I think that's a problem area for Gerrard, and he's trying to sort it out. But yeah, generally, otherwise the system, the way they attacked in the left half space with Coutinho dropping into there, and then McGinn being the runner, if you like, into that space was testament.
And Digne on the overlap.
Digne is the overlap, so that's kind of like their triangle of
influence. Watkins pulls out that way. That way
he does.
Well, doesn't he?
He does. They dominate, and where they put the free kicks, I mean, we'll come on to why, but it's exactly putting it towards the back of the 6-yard box from the left hand side was exactly what they did, as we saw in the opener. So I think largely that's how Gerrard wants to play. It will be very interesting going forward. They played exactly the same way at the weekend as well. I watched that game. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. Just to what you were saying and where the pressing came out for us, it was heavily down the right wing, 26% down the right wing, 22% in the right half space, so 48% in that right quadrant. About third of the pitch. Yeah. So that was the story. And the main targets were the 4 people that you've already described as well.
Sorry,
it's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's great to know what the opposition was planning to do, was how it played out and where we actually pressed them. So, but yeah, Rhodesy, do you want to give us that match summary for Villa before we start talking about some of those key events?
Well, it was a tale of 2 hours. The last match summary I did. Well, this one is like a tale of 2 minutes because most of Villa's XG came in the first 2 minutes. 1.2 of their 1.4 XG came in the first 2 minutes.
Holy shit! Really? It was that much? Wow.
Well, that's what they counted. You've got the Watkins shot, and then you've got 2 Louise shots, haven't you? The header and then the goal.
Oh God! Right? Yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, as we'll come on to, it was offside. So
none of it should have counted.
But other than that, 17 shots to 9, 5 shots on target to 4, 11 shots in the box to 7. They had 3 big chances to our 2. I'm a little bit confused by this. On who scored, I can't. It says that we had 1, which was Matip's goal. But I think they've given it to Nabe for the one that he air shot.
Yeah, it'll be a missed opportunity.
An opportunity. And I also think Ings got one that he didn't quite get a touch on when he let it run away from him when the one-on-one that Alisson saved. But he had one from a header, and then obviously got the Louise 0.9 shot that came from the rebound from Alisson's save. We've now gone 14 games in the league without an on-the-ball defensive error, but Villa did have one. A little bit of difference in the models. Octa was up at 2.25. They're not usually the highest. And Cayley was down at 1.6, which is a bit of a switch in roles there. But yeah, we had a huge discussion down in the group about attacking metrics dropping off. They certainly have. We are now averaging about, what is it? Well, a really poor 1.92 XG in our last 10 games, which is still elite, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, two expected goals a game is pretty much title winning levels. Yeah. Well, we won the title. We won the title we won the league with 75 XG, and that was including pens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've dropped from 4 big chances a game to now we're at about 2.5 again. That's still enough, and the difference is still 1.4, so it's still huge. But yeah, there's been a bit of a change in how we've approached things, and this game's a little bit of a reflection of that. Because if you take away their 1.2 XG in the first, or 1.1 XG in the first 2 minutes, we've hardly conceded anything. It's just that header from Ings. So obviously the game state can change, and because they're 1-0 up, then they don't need to attack. But we scored pretty much straight away, and then they hardly had anything. So yeah, impressive. Yeah.
Just before we talk about some of the we'll go into the offside a little bit more deeper, Barts. The general pattern of play in the start of the game was pretty hectic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got down. We didn't start. I don't think we started well. I thought it was incredibly. I think our change. We'll come on to the way we've changed, but I think we've been very controlled in the last few games. I think this looked like we hadn't got any control whatsoever. I don't think I've seen Fab turned as much as that in the first half an hour. I know he played half an hour, but in that period of time, for a long, long time, looking back on it, it's not as bad. But on the first watch, it really felt like they were really pushing us. Really. Well,
it felt like the. I mean, I forgot to do this in my intro, but the scene of probably our greatest setback and humiliation and the Jurgen Klopp, the 7-2.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happens at Villa Park with us? It just
but in that game, one of the theme, apart from deflections, and the other theme was them just launching the ball over our heads and making us run back to our own goal. Now it was a different manager, but it seemed to me very, very similar to me in terms of in that opening period.
Yeah, I don't think it was as deep as maybe the previous. They were definitely trying to target their key players, as we said, on the left-hand side. But it felt very end-to-end as well. Very, we'd attack, that attack. And whenever a ball was coming in, we weren't quite dealing with it. So it was a strange start, I have to say. And it also started the same way as a 7-2, didn't it? We started with an error. Adrian mucks up, doesn't he, for the start. And this one was... I mean, it was offside, but it was catalogue of errors with Costa's taking out Matic when he's about to head the ball clear as well. So, it's not... It's just not... It's not great. It's not what we've been used to over this run since, the last international break, whatever it was. So, it's very, very strange. I couldn't quite put the finger on why, really. But the lineup was fine in terms of loads. I know me and Si chatted about... Fab was a little bit high in terms of load, so maybe Hendo could have started. But then even then, Hendo's, I don't want to say lack of mobility, but he has a different level of mobility to Fabinho. Would he have struggled with having Coutinho and McGinn and Dinger, all coming down that side?
Yeah.
That might have been a problem. But yeah, so I think you're right. It was a very strange start to the game. Very strange and un-Liverpool-like.
Now, I don't want to talk about VAR. In terms of moan about VAR, right? I want to try and make this a slightly analytical discussion, Rhodesy, right? So my starting point is going to be that if if there is a situation where it's better for your goalkeeper to concede the shot, to concede the goal, rather than for him to save it, rebound, and play on, the rule has got to be wrong, hasn't it?
Yeah, you mentioned that, didn't you, on Twitter and in the group? The protocol is all wrong. Alisson should have just let it in, and that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Both centre backs absolutely knew it was offside. They both appeal once the first save is made. They both look across and appeal. Everybody knew. Nothing can be done about it because the phase carries on.
And then you get the closest we've got to a Pogmol spokesperson is the guy from ESPN, Dale Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Now Dale is employed by ESPN, not Pogmol, but he does get a lot of info direct from them. So you've got to assume that he's got good relations with the people there, and he can't piss them off too much. However, right, Rhodesy. So he basically came out and he basically said straight away, "Well, this is as the rules are saying it should be," right? And that's not my point. My point is, if it ends up like this, then the rules have got to be wrong. Because what I'm going to say is that in football is a low-scoring sport. You can't afford to have a goal, which is a rare event in a low-scoring sport, artificially given in a scenario where it should have been disallowed. Then what they're saying is then the point is, how far can you go back? How far in a passage of play, when there is something like this, can you go back? And they talk about the length of the game, the length of time it takes to review. What's your thoughts on that, Rhodesy?
It was 30 seconds, or is it a phase thing, Phil? Is it 1, 2, or 3 phases? I'm not sure what it was. I think it was 3 phases. Another cross comes in,
and
then it goes to the other side, and then another cross comes in, and then there's a shot, and then another shot. So
it's because we touched the ball a couple of times, right?
Yeah,
they are saying that's reset. That's reset the counter from the rules perspective. But
we had to touch the ball because he had to make the save, because you can't take the chance.
Yeah. So what I mean is, after Alisson makes the save, before the Villa have then put the ball into the box again, we do have a couple of touches or challenge under extreme pressure, don't we, from Villa? Yeah. And I think Johnson was basically saying at that point everything's reset, and then the players basically carrying on as if it's a new phase. So that's
it's happened to us. Hamza's just mentioned we got it against Southampton. Si's just said in the chat, where we had a goal that was offside in the first phase, and then we scored in the third. So we've benefited. Villa benefited, but it shouldn't be the case. They'd really need to change that.
So opt to define, right? We know analytically, because we have to do this and we have to code football matches. We know when possession changes hands. We know what is controlled possession. We know what is a clearance. So my suggestion is going to be 2 things. First of all, the play can go back as long as it takes, and the only way it changes is when the defending team has a spell of controlled possession or successfully clears the danger area, and at that point you can reset the phases. And then
danger area being their own half, or how would we define danger area?
Yeah, because you opt to define clearances because they collect clearances.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even need to go that. I think, Darth, you're right. I think you just go to the ball's dead. Like, why not? Because if you look at a game footage of just effective play, which is just when ball in play, each segment's only maximum a minute long. It doesn't take you that long on video analysis to scroll back a minute's worth of data to the key point. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. I think you're right. This rule is, I can't remember the classic phrase on it, but if it's causing an unnatural reaction, i.e. for Alisson not to save a shot directly at him, then it's wrong. That's not right, is it? That's changing the game in which we are. And for me, like you said, we record all these events. When the ball's next dead, you go back and review it. It's not. I don't see that being an issue. It's not that long a time. The ball isn't in play for each phase of play for that long.
And Rhodesy, here's another one, right? Say, for example, Alisson had saved the Watkins shot and parried it behind for a corner, right? Then Villa had taken the corner and scored direct from the corner. That would have been allowed as well.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. And it's strange, isn't it? Because it seemed to be such a clear offside that I don't know why it wasn't flagged. But yeah, the protocol's wrong. The rules clearly wrong. And Phil's right. If it's just got to be a breaking play. Average possession in the cup final was 50%, 15 seconds per team.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the average, you might have long ones. We've had like 30 pass moves this season at Athleticals, but that's a rarity. That's the outlier. Most possession phases break down in 15 to 20 seconds, so it's not a long thing to have a look at.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you get a shot, if you get an offside from a shot that might have been offside, so if you get a corner from a shot that might have been offside, I think that has to be reviewed before the corner is taken.
Yeah, and that wouldn't take long. That's literally a scroll back, because you're talking normally within 5-10 seconds of that event of the corner being conceded, right?
Yeah.
Well, that really doesn't take that long. Rhodesy, you know that from doing the pressing. It doesn't take that long to roll back 10 seconds of footage.
Not only that, but what you've got the time that the centre backs take to come up the field. You just have a look.
It's not that hard.
You know, it's not subjective. It's going to be computerized as well next season.
Yeah, the offside, isn't it? Yeah.
Get away.
Yeah, hopefully the protocol improves with, as Rhodesy said, with the computerization of the offsides. That would be great.
Yeah, that's being trialled somewhere, isn't it? First,
I think isn't it this summer? Isn't there like a tournament, international tournament? They normally trial it in,
and with a view to have been in the Premier League next season.
I have to follow Dale's latest tweets on it, but I'm fairly it's on the horizon from what he's last said. I think it's being trialled, and then it's got to approval, isn't it, to the international IFAB? Yeah. But apparently, all the work's kind of been done behind the scenes as it normally is. So yeah. But no, I think it's another instance where we've got advantages before, but this is quite, as you said, it's a low scoring game. It's quite critical, this event.
Yeah.
Luckily, we went up the other end and resolved it straight away.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit. It's like in rugby, Rhodesy, they are happy to go back a long way.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're watching a rugby match and there's a penalty given and the side's attacking, the referee can play advantage for like a minute. 90 seconds even, and he's still advantage before he actually blows up, doesn't he? It's mad.
And they stop the clock as well. So then no time being lost. But all they want to do is and there's a lot more tries scored in rugby than there is goals in football. So they want to get the correct decision, which should be the aim of all the technology, getting the correct decision.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's about rugby want the purity. Is that the right word? They want the decision to be right, therefore they don't care on time. Whereas in football, we seem to not want that. We want to have it a little bit, but not so much that it might influence. I don't know why we haven't got the correct protocol.
That's really the game, isn't it? That's the thing that's always talked about. It spoils the flow. Keep checking things, and I don't think we should be checking the subjective stuff.
I'm just talking only offsides.
It's a clear thing, isn't it? It's just a clear offside. You can have a look. 10 seconds done.
Which we already check anyway.
Yeah,
they already check for offsides.
I don't think anything subjective should be checked. Only binary decisions, which is basically goal line and on offside.
Agreed.
Yeah, so you wouldn't do cards, no?
No, because that's subjective, isn't it?
No. I'm just saying you wouldn't do a card. Would you do a penalty?
No,
how would you pay on for
any of them? Not to go back in time for 30 seconds or a minute or
Well, penalties are checked as the game goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, it was just a point. You said you wouldn't do anything subjective. Yeah, currently we do 2 subjective decisions on VAR. We do cards and penalties.
Yeah, they check the pens as the game's going on. So why can't they check both sides as the game is going on?
Exactly. Seems a bit of a weird anomaly.
Yeah. Anyway, there's hopefully that was constructive. It wasn't just because it happened to Liverpool in this game, but yes. Anyway, I genuinely believe that there's a lot of things to do. Actually, one last thing, Rhodesy, maybe the rumoured play clock, 60 minutes of playing time. Maybe that will help with this as well.
Agreed. You're not losing any time out of the game, then, are you? That's one of the reasons why they say they don't do it.
Yeah. And what's the status on that? Is that going to be trials? Is that being brought in? The way it was talked about a few months ago, I thought it would make it sound like it's definitely going to happen.
But who proposed it? I can't remember who proposed it. Was it Wenger?
Wenger and his FIFA role, is it?
Yeah,
so
see,
it's
that's
going to come
different.
through FIFA and then it's going to IFAB.
Yeah. And they've already knocked out his biennial World Cup idea, haven't they? Which is in the same paper, I think.
Oh, right.
So it might have got dismissed. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, while we were chatting, I did get the data from Fantasy Football Scout Rhodesy, and Keita and Ings both missed opportunities.
There you go.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. But anyway, we go 1-0 down unjustly. But Barts, it doesn't take long for us to get back on terms with another set piece goal. So seeing as one of our 8 set piece shots in this match, 8.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean,
We've already got the record. I
know it's. I mean, I don't know what the total is now for the season, but it's ridiculous. Was it mid-zone corner? VVD targeted with Matip, maybe comes down. Jota tries to go through
outswinger.
Outswinger, yeah, which has changed from the previous game. And then VVD keeps it alive, pokes it back in, and Matip puts it away with I've got as a 0.97 XG chance. Is that right?
Wow. Was he on the goal line? Was he that good?
0.77 on
0.77. I don't on FootMob as 0.97. Might be wrong.
Wow.
But yeah. Anyway, extremely high, right? It's very close. So yeah, it was an error from them, wasn't it, in the clearance? So it comes down from the header initially from us, and then they fail to clear it properly, which breaks left, and then it gets put across to Matip to score. But yeah, I think it was a great reply from us to get straight back on level terms, to kill something we didn't do in the infamous 7-2, wasn't it? It was Mo had a penalty. Was it penalty disallowed? Shout turned down, which would have been 1-0. Yeah. But then, do you know what I mean? The crowd doesn't have an opportunity to. That's an intangible, but it matters at Villa Park, I think, to them. So yeah.
Does anyone think that Jota takes out their centre back when he's taking that shot? It falls on the back of his legs.
Is that what they were checking?
Is that what?
I think so, for the foul. Yeah, they didn't give it. It just looks accidental. He's taking a shot, and it's like a natural foul. But if you look at it in slow motion, it looks really bad.
A lot of things look bad in slow motion, don't they?
They do. There's no intent of any kind of foul. He takes a shot and it happens to fall on the back of his legs. But yeah. So it was also 2.2 XG in the first 5 minutes. That must be some kind of record.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Is that our XG total you got?
No, both.
Yeah, both teams, yeah.
We had 0.95 for this with the 3 shots. There's a Jota shot, the Van Dijk shot, and the Matip goal, yeah.
Yeah. So how from your perspective, after it all reset at 1-1, Bart, how did you see the tactical pattern play in the rest of that first half? Obviously, there was a period where we looked really ragged, and you thought Fabinho got injured before he actually got injured, right? Before he finally sat down.
Yeah, I think there's a break on 20 minutes or so. And I think he turns to go then. And he looks... I mean, Fab's not the quickest, right? I'm not saying he's slow.
No.
But he looked really... he looked laboured. And then it was another 7 minutes later before he finally sat down, and then had another attack after that as well. Two of his passes went astray as well around that time, which again isn't really Fab. You know, that's a sign that Fab's struggling, fatigued. You know, all those sort of elements that we've looked at. You look at the City game; his passing wasn't quite on it, was it? The one at the Etihad. It's one of Fab's signs, I think, when he's not quite in the zone, should we say? And they were turning him a lot in that period. I've got down 20 minutes of utter madness, which is an intangible. But yeah, it was which ended up with. I mean, Ali did something absolutely nuts with the ball at that time as well. You know,
he gave it straight to one of their players. Who did he give it to? Yeah.
So you've got the team settled. Ali does that. They've got to regroup and change their shape again. There was a lot of, because it was fairly end to end. Fab had to do, and the midfield were doing a lot of shuttling more than they normally would do, you know, because you normally expect to come in, get control possession, and we'll just do our usual game. That wasn't happening for the first period of time. So, yeah, I thought he got injured earlier on, and when he went down, it was like, oh, okay. And then Hendo, we played a bit with without Hendo for a bit because it took a bit of time to get ready.
That's right. We were down. We were down 10 men for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah. I think Naby drops into
the all the little details that the club concentrates on, and then the players aren't even ready to come on as sub for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he captain as well. But anyway, he took a bit of time to settle, and I thought he had a very decent game from that point onwards.
Yeah, and I think
because Fab seemed to me pretty bad in the pressing that I collected. I'm not sure.
He wasn't too bad. I think he was at 70%.
Okay. Not as bad as I thought.
Let me just maybe just find that for you, Rhodesy.
Yeah, it just seems. Yeah, I mentioned it after collecting it in the.
Only 3 fails.
No, there you go.
Okay, it's opportunity as well, though, isn't it? They were bypassing a little bit that time, as already said. So, but yeah, what a great start.
But to be fair, I think I don't know about you guys, but I thought Henderson coming on was the turning point of the match. I mean, I think we pretty much controlled the rest of the match. Okay, we didn't create loads going forward, but we just looked a better unit all round, and then we got stronger again when Thiago came on.
Yeah, I agreed. I thought we started moving the ball like our normal selves. I mean, I got down. It was a good move on 32, was it? Naby plays in Diaz. He's just offside. Yeah. We have another couple of moves 2 minutes later, and Naby miskicks it, and then we've got. It just seems every 2 minutes we've started to create from that point onwards. So it's one of those. We've chatted about Henderson all season. I think we have often commented if you give him a more restricted role in the 6, he can do the role.
But the times early in the season he played the 6 and was terrible as well. But I think it's fair to say he's in his best period of form of the entire season.
Yeah.
The last month, 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. I mean, he finished here with 89% pass completion. Yeah, that's up there when he's been at 6. Not so great in the final third, but then that's not what you expect from him. So it's good. 47 passes in total, which is up there with Naby's, and Naby played the whole game.
For an hour, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think you're right. He's coming into form. I think I posted in the chat that Hendo is the question of the season, probably, isn't it? His form, perhaps.
I think to be fair, let's give Sy some credit. I think last summer he said I think the most important player in the team is going to be Jordan Henderson, and he said because his Sy's rationale was that he's going to play every game, so we need him to be not terrible. We need him to be good, or average, or better. And he was our worst regular starter for the first half of the season by a considerable distance.
Yep.
Yeah. And then but can we pinpoint what's changed?
Think we've chatted about this a long time, haven't we? Many times. But the rotation second half of the season has been a lot better. Yeah. And the players have been rotated in the roles. Yeah. And I think that has helped Jordan. Whereas first half of the season he was playing no matter what.
Yeah.
And it was full 90s.
He was always selected. And
always selected, regardless of what. Whereas second half of the season, it was very much like, right, no, you're sitting out here, Naby's playing these minutes, Thiago's playing these minutes, CJ comes in. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of, by managing that load, it allows him to regain the form and just concentrate on the minutes he's got. And I think it has definitely benefited him. And I think also playing the 6 and giving Fab a bit of time off has helped him be that part of his game and gain confidence when not having to go and do the big physical stuff of aggressive 8, which he's going to struggle with at his age. Not struggle is the wrong word, but that isn't going to be he can't do that for a whole game. Whereas he can go in at 6, get on the ball, be that more disciplined role for a whole game and feel good and have an impact on the game. That's all he wants to do is impact games.
I think a key thing is able to give it to 2 very different players in Naby and Thiago. Instead of just the frustratingly recycling that he used to do, we just take the ball off Van Dijk all the time. He's not doing that now, and because he's got those 2 ahead of him, they also help defensively because they're pressing from the front.
Yeah,
they're active, so it all combines really well, and it obviously suits him and shows the better sides of his game.
Yeah, and I think that still happened. I said this back end of the season, second half, the last 19 games, has been really where it's turned around for him. And fair play to credit to him. And so I was right.
And then so he's played really well. Kate has played really well. Thiago's played really well, and all of them have played well. So yeah, and we are where we are. So Rhodesy, coming on to that, we get into half time, and then second half. I think we play pretty well, and then especially once Thiago comes on, and we score a fantastic winning goal.
We do on the press. Virtually the only noticeable thing about the pressing, it wasn't a classic one, but this was a classic Thiago pressing moment, and then he wins the ball, and it's an absolutely sublime pass from Jota. Not usually something we're giving him, you would think about, but it's a great pass with his left foot, and then and obviously Diaz picks it up, cuts inside, crosses it, and what a good header that is as well, from slightly behind him. Fair play, quality goal.
That's a classic striker's header. That really is a number 9 header. That he's cushioned, isn't it? Controlled.
It's a bit of a Jota header. Jota's on a few.
Yeah, it was also front three combining. When was the last time he did that?
Yeah. One to another, brilliant. Michael Owen on BT was absolutely purring about the Mane header. he absolutely loved it. Yeah, but yeah, just for the strikers instinct of it all. But conscious we've done a lot on Villa so far, and we've still got the cup final to go. Is there anything else, Barts, that you wanted to call out on the Villa match? Anything else in your notes?
No, I thought the header was in the areas we'd identified pre-match, either side of the penalty spot, if you like. Both balls both balls we put in, which we scored from, were in the targeted areas, which Villa was showing out to be a weakness in. But I thought this was we won in the title winning season. Mane scored a header from the other side, didn't he? A similar kind of glance header. So yeah, it was good. But other than that, it was great. Great to see Endo back in and play on form.
Dan, just the Alisson save, another big chance save. I know it's only an opportunity
from Ings.
From Ings.
Yeah. So
saving all the big chances.
Yeah, I think we said last night it was 68% of the big chances he faced. Saved. So he can see he saved one of the. Did he save one of the Louise ones as well?
Yeah, he saved the header. It wasn't a big chance, but he saved the header, didn't he, from the cross, and then parried it back to him.
Yeah. So anyway, I will look at updating that, getting the latest figures from Fantasy Football Scout on the big chance out. But yeah, fantastic from Alisson, and he did it again in the cup final, which we're going to go on to. So right, Barts, let's talk about those selections. Actually, no, I'm going to do Rhodesy. Let's do Liverpool with you, and then Rhodes, because Barts is our oppositional analyst, and then we'll do Chelsea with him. So Rhodesy, who did we go for with the cup final?
Well, obviously Fab is injured, so Henderson stayed in. Henderson, Naby, and Thiago, which is probably the strongest lineup he could have picked, to be honest. Maybe you could say Kanate or Matip, but I would both of them are ace. But yeah, it's the strongest side. Diaz, Mane, Salah. Obviously Salah went off, but yeah, as strong a side as he could have picked. Some bench as well.
Yeah, quite. Absolutely. And Barts, Chelsea. One thing I liked about our team, one thing I liked about us in the Klopp is you never get any discussion about changing formations. Who's going, what are we going to do? Which system we're going to go with? We just know it's going to be 4-3-3, and there might be some straight selection decisions. Yeah, like for likes within that 4-3-3, right?
Yeah.
None of that with Chelsea in this. Nobody knew what they were playing until an hour before kickoff.
No, I said in the preview. Normally, I'll try and identify roughly what the lineup's going to be. 5 games. I've got no real idea. They do generally play a 3-4-3, but the makeup of the front has been very different. In some games they've played 3 false nines. Or they've played a 1-1-1, with a runner in front of Lukaku and one behind, or they've played a 2 and a 1, which is what they did on Saturday. It was Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah, they played a runner and a passer. So Yeah, but you're right. It's, and I'm not sure that helps the players, if I'm being honest. With us, they all know we've chatted about their roles, and they come in and go right 8, left 8, 6 does this. We do this. We do this. That's how we play. Whereas Chelsea, it's like, right, this week we're going to play with this system. Okay, right, I've got to do this role. I've got to be in these areas, this half space, this half space. And then you play midweek, we've got to do this system. I'm not sure. I don't think that helps the team at all. And it's just why I think you get some very disjointed performances. But other than that,
they've been pretty up and down the last 2 months, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And there's been a lot. They've been resting it for the cup final. I just don't think. I don't know. I didn't see any evidence that they were any more rested than we were for that game. But yeah, go on.
It transpires that Kai Havertz was not available for this match. Now, we didn't know this, did we? And
No.
there was no talk of this in the press.
No.
So it was discussion was Lukaku or Havertz. Turns out it's Lukaku. And personally, I was ecstatic because...
And me.
When you got Konate and Van Dijk against Lukaku, I just think it's great. It's a really nice matchup for our team.
Yeah, and I think you spot on. And Havertz would have dropped in.
Yeah.
And with those other two players, then running on into the space that Havertz would have created, that would have caused me a little bit of concern. I think we could have dealt with it.
Havertz would have been behind Hendo, wouldn't he? And
he would have been dropping in, and then you would have Pulisic put into that space. Yeah. And I can't remember the other guy, but yeah. So it would have been a very interesting setup, to put it that way. But yeah, when Lukaku, I was like, right, we're fine with this.
Yes,
we can.
Now, two other ones I want to talk to you about. Christian Pulisic. Now, the BBC comms, I watched it on BBC, spent the entire match talking about Timo Werner, and he never came on. He didn't even get on the pitch 1 minute. What was your take? Were you surprised with Pulisic?
No, he has actually been playing the last few games.
Okay,
he's the runner off the front man, if you like. Werner, if he'd played, normally plays the advance, so the 1-1-1, if you like.
Yeah.
But I wasn't surprised Pulisic started at all.
And
I was surprised Werner didn't get any minutes.
Yeah.
But say to be.
And the final one is Nathan Chalobah at right centre back. Because in our previous 2 matches against Chelsea, he has been destroyed twice. Once by Sadio Mane at Stamford Bridge, when he was absolutely. I think he had defensive errors for both goals.
Yep.
And in the League Cup final by Luis Diaz. And were you surprised to see Tuchel put him out there again?
He didn't, did he? It was supposed to be Christensen.
Yeah.
Isn't Christensen on strike?
Yeah, he refused to play.
And I don't think Azpilicueta's...
Is that? I didn't know that. He's actually refused to play.
Yeah, so he's refused to play because he's going... Is it Barts he signed for?
Yeah.
But and I think Azpilicueta isn't fully fit.
Right.
So they went with... I can't pronounce names. Chalobah. And then they had James there to help out, which, as Sai pointed out in the chat very correctly, they sacrificed James' attacking output to help deal with Diaz after the first few minutes where Diaz was absolutely killing him.
Let's talk about that opening 10 minutes for us. Good God, we started like an absolute train, didn't we? Barts, Rhodesy, sorry.
Yeah, well, like you just said, kept just getting it to Diaz. Diaz was destroying him. He has an unlucky, I don't know if it's a cross or shot. Thiago's, it's a bit like the Gaza one for England against Germany that time. So close.
Oh, yeah, so close.
And then there's a big chance for Diaz through ball. Absolute pearl of a pass from Trent.
Oh, amazing.
Just unbelievable. It's given us a big chance. One of only our 2 shots on target in this game. Saved by Mendy. Scout only gave it as a 5% chance, but opted to definitely give it as a big chance, which shows you why Scout's nonsense. And yeah, it was. How we didn't score, but then, as you say, they dropped Reece James back, and they kind of dealt with it a little bit better by sacrificing him. But still, he ended up with 6 shots at the end of the game. So, not before he came off.
Yeah. So we had 5 shots in the first 13 minutes. 5 shots to 0 in the first 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Diaz had 2 of them himself. and and he had 3 successful dribbles in that first 10 minutes as well. So I got the passing networks. Let me just put those into the live show chat now. So
You got him?
Yeah. Do you remember last week we talked about there was a really weird one for us where one of our fullbacks actually had a backwards passing network. To his nearest. It's the same with Reece James, pretty much to Kovacic and Chalobah. Reece James. Now, this is not a Chelsea pod, right? But we have to acknowledge good statistical performances when we see it. And the previous game against Newcastle, Reece James put in the most astonishing stats line, one of the most astonishing stats line I've ever seen from any player in a match. He was incredible. You wouldn't know what position he was playing, but if you looked at his numbers, what he had absolutely everything. Right, so it's fair to say, I think, Barts, he is one of their most important players now, isn't he?
Oh, for sure. I mean, taking away all of the debate about right backs and the rest of it, Reece James is a quality player.
Yeah,
he's a very, very good player. Even having to deal with Diaz, he still look at the passes there to Mount, one of their key players. He still finds Mount from basically his own. Do you know what I mean? Having to deal with Diaz, gets up, finds Mount into player, and then deep into extra time, he still made effective in that time as well. Retired, but he's a very
But so we basically exposed them so much early on that they have no choice but to put
him in. Yeah.
Put him back 30 metres from where he was, because he was aggressive in the first 5 minutes, thinking we were going to be like Newcastle, and we just constantly got him behind him and exposed Chalobah. So I think if you can neuter and a threat like that, I think you've got to take that as a win, haven't you?
Yeah, but then they pushed on Alonso.
Yeah.
So they countered, and I'm not. It is a win. Don't get me wrong. James is a better player than Alonso, but they pushed on Alonso, which meant that Trent had to play deeper or more focused. Yeah. And Trent had a very good game. I think it's one of the best defensive plays I've seen from Trent. The clearances,
and with the ball as well,
and with the ball, right? But it was from deeper. Yeah, there wasn't as many runs of Trent overlapping, I don't think. I will double check that, but as there was, because he had Alonso right pushed up with him, because that was Chelsea's outball. Yeah, they went to a lopsided formation, which is what is shown there, and was on the game. So yes, we stopped the James impact because they had to bring that back to deal with Diaz. But in doing so, Tuchel's not that stupid. He then put Alonso, pushed him on, which stopped our other fullback, our other right side, becoming as effective, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
If you'd also look at the pass map there, Kovacic was having to help out. So his touches, that is a very condensed triangle around where Diaz was playing.
Yeah.
Which kind of, does it line up in your? No, it doesn't. But yeah. So yeah, I think we did force a change in them, but they also forced us to change a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the targeting map now.
Yeah, that was the story I just mentioned.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah. So not only was it was Diaz in the attacking, with the ball, a story, but Diaz on James here, 18 targets. It's fair to say there was a lot of good pressing from us in this game. Thiago and Naby Keita, and Luis Diaz as well. But yeah, I think 17 targets on Reece James. We didn't get that much from it, but it was just constantly in his face and giving him something to think about, big time. Yeah.
Not only was Reece James coming back to help with the Diaz threat, but then Diaz was pinning Reece James back with the pressing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing we need to talk about tactically, Barts, is the Naby Keita at Wembley again, in the very, very advanced central role, pretty much alongside centre forward, dropping off a little, double false nine almost, if you like, in that level of where they are in the pitch. Games in the League Cup final, it was N'Golo Kante.
Mm-hmm.
In the semi-final, it was Bernardo Silva, and in this match, he was in that role again, and he was actively involved, and he was superb in this game in his pressing, wasn't he?
He was. Who was his top target? Just to make sure it lines up with my notes. Who got it? Keita and Jorginho.
Jorginho,
yeah,
Jorginho, exactly. And then Alonso. Yeah.
So he was key in shutting down that, because Jorginho he's not mobile, but he's very good at distribution of his ball. So Naby was exceptional, I thought, in shutting that down and making him play a sideways rather than an incisive, progressive pass, which blunted another element of their attack.
Yeah.
I thought Naby in the tight spaces as well, because even when they had players around him, he's still. I mean, that chance for Diaz, the through ball, that comes from Naby operating a very quick 1-2 with Trent, and then Trent flicks it through for Diaz to run onto. That's that's great. That was an example of his attacking play as well, in the very, very small spaces to work in. Because Chelsea were right pushed back at that period of time, and Naby still find the little pockets to pick the ball up. So I thought another impressive display in a final.
Yeah, in a final. So we had only on the pitch 74 minutes, but 31 presses. Rhodesy, the thing that stands out there is the 97% efficiency. I mean, we didn't get that many possession wins from because we never do against Chelsea. But like Bart said, it's just constantly disrupting and constantly forcing Chelsea, because I think it's fair to say there weren't any gaps in the chain. There weren't any weak links.
They were all working together.
Well, Thiago's top, but that's exactly what he's been offering all season. To have his energy, to have him be able to close people down, to have I know it's only 4 possession wins, but it's still a good amount. And then to have such a high efficiency is pushing opponents back second most compared to Thiago as well. Just how good were both of them in those roles?
Yeah,
they've got threats on either side. Like, I know they were missing their best player in Havertz, but their movement from Mount's still good. Pulisic is still good, and obviously they have to deal with the threat. We've still got the threat of Alonso on that side as well that we touched on earlier. They were only big chance game down that side, but the pressing in this game, as in the League Cup final, was much better than the Villa game anyway.
I bet you could deal with threat 2 ways, can't you? And we chose to deal with it as source in this game. We stopped the ball getting into the danger players, and that also allowed Naby to then be attacking in the right area as well.
What I wanted to ask you, Barts, was because we pushed Diaz on James so much, and they were pinned back, and the way that Mane dropped and Diaz was a clear V, wasn't there? And then the way that and Diaz, the way that Keita played that advanced role, we almost had a 4-on-2 overload in midfield, didn't we? For quite a lot of that first half.
Box.
Yeah. And we had 60% possession at half time. Yeah,
we were. That was a real purple patch for us. We had great possession. Even over the course of the game, there weren't.
It was only extra time when Chelsea. It was only extra time when Chelsea had the ball. Really.
Yeah, and the start of the second half, wasn't it? They came out for a 5-10 minute period and they tried to blast us, and we dealt with it. But no, I think you're right. This whether you call it double false 9 or 2 10s or whatever you want to call it, it does enable us to dominate that area. And when Mo is on, he completes that picture, because you almost get that pincer shape, don't you, in the passing network sometimes.
Yeah,
with Diaz and him pushing on. It's a story in the passing network there, because Mo doesn't. I don't think Mo's got any passes, does he?
No.
On the line, and Jota plays it differently, which we adapted to. I think it changed. I think on that half an hour a little bit for Mo was, and you commented in the chat that Rudiger was having was 1-to-1 with Mo, wasn't he?
He's just good. He's just a good.
He's
player,
a good player, but Mo was almost being double teamed.
Yeah.
But when Mo went off, they didn't.
He's a big loss
Jota.
for them. Going to Real Madrid, he's a big loss for Chelsea.
He's a big loss, and So, but I think the double teaming of one didn't happen when Mo went off and Jota came on, which meant there was another defender to deal with Diaz as well.
Yeah.
So I think that also shifted a dynamic change. But no, I think this double false 9, should we call it, be evolutionary, is an interesting thing going forward.
So let's talk about the unthinkable. Barts. Mo Salah actually has to take a seat and get subbed and forced off in a match. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's just like we're doing some chatting in the group, and one of the interesting things is that the impact of AFCON, I think, isn't it, Barts?
Yeah, I think, was it the minutes you guys worked out? Was it 7 extra games he's played as a result of AFCON?
Yeah.
In terms of minutes,
some more minutes, maybe net.
And Sai posted that the most common injuries are hip and I can't remember the one side. Hamstring and hips.
Hamstring, yeah.
And that's what they were testing for. And VVD as well.
So, do we know if any of the three big players, Fabinho, Salah, VVD, are pulls, or are they all tightness or precaution?
I think that's very difficult to say. I mean, I haven't got the inside knowledge, so has. You can only go on what the club's saying. We know that can be a bit.
Yes.
But I think the fact that Fab came off early is a good thing. He didn't.
Do you think Salah did the same?
I think Salah did the same. VVD might be a bit naughty because he said he did it in the first half.
Right.
And then he played the whole second half, and finally he went.
Do we know what VVD said he did?
He said he had a tightness at the back of his knee, hamstring area. But then afterwards,
which knee?
I don't know. That's the bit I don't know. But then the interviews afterwards has been like they're both they're fine. They'll be fine for the final. So again,
the players are obviously going to say that
exactly. And Klopp I think said it today as well.
Rhodesy, do we know which knee?
I don't know which knee.
I think it was the bad one.
The bad one.
The reason why I think the reason was that he felt he could dealt with Lukaku, but once a faster player came on, I think it was Ziyech or something, and there was different movement. That's when he said, "Okay, I'll go now."
That's such an insult to Lukaku.
I'll just deal with you with one knee
because I don't have to run. I can just stand here and bat you away. Honest to God.
Andy actually did.
He did, yeah. I mean, but that kind of makes sense if it is that knee, because that is room for the knee repair. So it kind of makes sense if that is his hamstring that's tight.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when you're preparing for a season for your major player coming back from ACL reconstruction, you're probably not going to plan for him to play the most minutes ever in an English season, are you? You know, in terms of games, it's just not. You're not going to go, oh yeah, let's bring him back and let's make him play 60 odd games. It's not something you plan to do, you know. So it's. But could you? Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Should be rotated in all that rest of it. But I think so. We'll just have to wait and see. Saul will get some knowledge, I'm sure.
So after our great start, Chelsea have pretty much the next two chances. They work a really nice some play down the right. Mount puts a fantastic cut back in, and then Pulisic shovels it wide. He gets a half contact on it, Rhodesy, doesn't he? Not a great one.
No, not at all.
What do you think? It's not. Is it a big chance? No.
No, definitely not. It doesn't go down as one anyway.
Maybe what about 10-12% chance kind of territory?
And the only one we've got for shot values broken down is Wisecout, unfortunately, but it goes down as a 0.24 chance, which is a little touch high, but it's about right. He's not under much pressure, is he? He just doesn't quite get.
But let's talk about the big one just afterwards. In about half an hour, maybe is it? Maybe 25 minutes. How does the ball end up with Alonso?
It's an excellent dribble from Pulisic, isn't it? And then he plays a through ball between Trent and Konate. And if you watch, you see it better from behind the goal. Alisson, he comes out and then kind of stops and then shuffles. His ability to predict when the shot's coming or be in the right place on these one-on-ones is unbelievably good.
Doesn't he see the bad touch and instantly go full acceleration towards the player?
Yeah. And then gets hit 2-footed on his leg.
Yeah, that's incredible decision making, isn't it? Absolutely elite. Yeah, to react that fast and to stuff out the danger. Because did Wisecout have that as the best chance of the match or Robbo?
No, they had this one at 0.55 and Wisecout had Robbo at 0.54.
Okay, so virtually the same. Yeah.
Which is about right.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, they're the two biggest chances of the match for sure. Yeah. Although before half time, Barts and the substitute, what's he doing? He just gets. Does he just get too much on it?
You're talking about Jota chance, aren't you?
Yeah, the Jota chance. He comes in and on the edge of the 6-yard box. Yeah.
But this is where, I mean, the concept of form, yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, Jota, I think, heads that. But you know what I mean? I just think Jota finishes that earlier in the season.
Yeah.
He hasn't been right since Inter away. Yeah, we can all agree. His scoring's not been right since Inter away. He hasn't looked the same player. Yeah. His scoring isn't looking right. And that is just an example of someone who isn't in form in front of goal.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's trying. He's kind of half in between a flick, a shot. I mean, I think he had time to bring it down and just finish it. I don't understand why it's not 1-0 at half time.
Was it Robbo who put the ball in?
I
think it was, wasn't it?
Think
it was
so,
lovely,
yeah.
A lovely ball.
It was a lovely ball. It was a good move.
Yeah.
You know, isolated our fullback out there in space, put it in there. Jota makes a great run. It just doesn't finish. And I can't fathom what he's thinking of doing, to be honest.
I don't want to pick on Chalobah again, but it was just right in the zone where Robbo crosses from.
Yeah, we pressed it. We pressed Kovacic for it.
Yeah, that was good. He wasn't fit, was he? Definitely
he wasn't.
Yeah,
they got, but then neither was Kante, so they had to do half and half.
Yeah, and they could have played Saul.
Sorry, does he exist?
God, remember the Saul transfer saga last year? Oh my God,
days. But, it was a miss, wasn't it, from 6 yards or whatever? But it doesn't go down as our biggest chance.
No. Anyway, so 60% possession come first half. Oh, you know, we're all pretty happy going into half time, despite the Salah injury. But Chelsea come out the blocks pretty fast, Barts.
Yeah, I think this was the only period of the game where I was concerned.
Right.
That 5-10 minutes, they were. I think they put in 6 crosses in the first 5 minutes after half time. And it was Trent was clearing it. And
did they change anything tactically?
I think they. I think they just not. This is a really bad phrase, but I think they just right. Let's go. Let's actually go and get on the front foot and press high and attack. So I noted as well. I think he's probably right that we went to a 4-1-4-1. Started the second half. Not sure whether that had an impact, but it might have taken us a bit of time to resettle into that. But yeah, I think James was involved, wasn't he? In this period, Alonso was. It was just not mayhem's the wrong word.
Well, they have the one where it hits the bar. They're the really good swinging set piece
from a set piece from Alonso. Yeah, that was from Alonso.
That looks like it hits the underside of the bar to me on the replay. I'm not quite sure how that stays out, but that's quite lucky, I think.
And is there the pullback and someone puts it wide? Shoots it wide. It's another pullback, and it's they had 2, 3, 4 chances in that time.
Yeah.
But that's the strength of us. We stood firm and we kept the clean sheet. Yeah. And then we found our way back into it. So yeah.
And then from pretty much that we weathered that little spell, Rhodesy. And then from then to the end of the match, it was Luis Diaz. It was basically Luis Diaz versus Chelsea, wasn't it? He was. He was. He must have missed 4 shots by a combined 2 foot in distance.
Yeah, and had one saved.
And he hit the post.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Obviously, he was causing problems on both sides as well. He went to the other side a couple of times to have a couple of shots. And you could see on his face when I think it was his 5th or 6th shot was saved, how absolutely fuming he was. He was just like, "What am I supposed to do? Why can't I score? I keep having all these shots, 6 shots." Point. I think he ended up with. Yeah, it's weird. Like Wisecout, 6 shots, only 0.3 xG. So maybe he needs to have a little think about it. But he did. Well, he did.
The majority of his shots were outside the box.
I was going to say, I think that's about right.
Yeah. No, but obviously it's harder to score from outside the box. But the quality of the strike, he
was, yeah.
Yeah. The first one
just around the post, yeah.
The first one, which turns the tide in the match against halts Chelsea's good spell, Barts, is a fantastic. Nobody saw that shot coming, and he goes back across the keeper. Keeper's absolutely nowhere, and he gets tripped wide of the post. But he gets a really good contact on that.
Yeah, I said in the chat, I didn't know it's the best I've seen him strike a ball. I thought that was in. Generally, turn, like you said, dribble, turn, hits it. Mendy's no. nowhere. Wow, that's a really good play, and that, as you say, that turned the tide. As unmarked in the 6-yard box, just put it across. He's done 3 or 4
do you know the
balls
reason I
earlier
thought
on.
Do you know the reason I thought he shot is because he was basically against Rudiger and he just had literally a half yard, so he just
Yeah, but he's done it in the first half. He puts balls across the 6-yard box for fun. He does it again in the second half. But it's not something he's been doing all game. Just do it, and that's a tap-in for 3 of our players. That's the only one I'm a little bit like, why didn't you just do it? The others, I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. There's nothing else on.
Yeah.
Try that. But that one, I'm like, nah, come on. It's on your right foot as well. It's not on his standing. It's on his right foot. For me, that's an easy ball for him to make.
Yeah, and the other one, Rhodesy, which I thought it was in again, was the one where he cuts in and then he floats that right-footed curler over the keeper, and from the angle, Rhodesy, it looks in, doesn't it?
Like it's going in, yeah.
Because the keeper's beaten, and then it just drifts wide of the post. It just doesn't quite get enough bend on the shot.
That's it.
Yeah,
and we've seen him do that before as well in other games. Just a stat from both cup finals. XG Philosophy says there was 7.32 XG in the 2 cup finals, 0 goals, and there was 11 big chances. It was and 0 goals. So there were a lot of chances missed. Yeah. The least likely set of 0-0s.
So it was. We had 6 big chances across the 2 finals, scored 0.
I think it was 7-4.
Yeah, we had 3 in this game and didn't score any.
Wow.
But as we'll come on to, there's a very big chance later on.
Well, we had to do the tactical change. We wait a while, but we bring on the tactical change, and it's James Milner for Naby Keita, Barts. But the interesting thing I thought was he basically plays in exactly the same position as Naby Keita played.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting as well. I think you're spot on. I thought coming on fine, he'll sit in. It'll be nearly a flat 3, and we'll just see the game out and try and hit him on the counter. But no, in his first minute, he goes and does the Milner bingo of taking someone out with an absolutely outrageous foul. But yeah, but you know what I mean, though? He typically comes on and fouls someone. Yeah, he just did it really early on. Yeah, and then he does. He's involved in the move that leads to our best chance of the game as well, because he's up that high. He puts a great ball across, and Robbo hits the post from 3 yards.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fantastic cross in. How does he miss, Rhodesy? It's one. I think if we'd lost this cup final, that would have been one of those all-time great commentaries on, and come in and you look at the chance to miss that to win the cup final.
Robbo had gone. It's these split-second things, is it, where you can't quite get to the ball in time.
It's on his shin, isn't it? It's off his shin.
He doesn't connect with it properly. I've never seen anyone as tired in a football match. So that's all I can think, because he plays passes like, he usually has got the great control. He usually has great delivery, and he makes the run. Just doesn't quite time it right, and it's just like, oh mate. I thought, honestly, when he misses that, I thought, I'm not sure. It's our day. Honestly, I was starting to worry. That was the first time I worry.
Well, the thing, the last that I thought, coming up to full time for that period from 16 minutes to full time, you thought, we've been brilliant. How haven't we won this match? Already. Yeah, I'm going extra time.
Oh.
Can we discuss some of the players? Generally, who basically played the full 120 at Barts, and I want to start with Thiago, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold and Jordan Henderson, because those 3 between them, and Ibrahim Konate, to be fair, all 4 of those players played the full 2 hours, and they were all absolutely terrific in this match. Do you want to start with Thiago though? Because I think the thing is, this is the first time that we've had Thiago to play Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah, and I genuinely think we didn't play him at Villa to enable him to do this within his load. I know Si's got the figures. He's high, but they're all high. They're all in the red zone.
Yeah.
But this, I think, not having him involved from the start at Villa meant that he had extra minutes here to play, and he was superb. He was ticking it. He was doing what we have Thiago to do. Did you see the quote today that Klopp said, I wish if I knew you were this good, I signed you 5 years ago. And Thiago said, "Thank you. You've taught me how to run."
Brilliant.
So it was great. But I mean, he also James on 75 absolutely 2-foots him.
Oh, it's a brutal challenge, that.
And that for me, that's nearly a red card.
Yeah.
So and he gets up. He does the usual, doesn't he? He gets up and says, "All right, fair enough. We'll carry on then." But he was critical I felt in extra time, whereas as Rhodey's already alluded to, we were out on our feet. And Alonso is quite happily just keeping the ball ticking over. And that is why you have a player of his ilk in there. You can just pick it up, player 1-2, move, pick another one, play another 1-2, and it just kills the clock.
How did you see a lot? I saw some people talking tactically that saying he was almost like in a double pivot with Hendo. How did you see it?
Yeah, I was going to say, but I think that's happened a lot this season, and we maybe not have noticed it. I think it's only really
with Fab and Thiago.
Yeah. I think it's only really. I mean, the pressing data is against City and against some other, and maybe in the Champions League where he's gone high. We've had Naby and him pressing high or Hendo. Otherwise, he has largely played that connector next to Fab at some point in time, and it was but particularly towards the end of the game, it was very much double pivot, and that's again saves the legs of both of them. They've only got a shared blocking passing lanes.
He had Mason Mount in his zone, I guess. I guess he had to be quite conservative, didn't he, in that respect?
Yeah. For sure.
And he had 43 presses. He was top presser in this match. I mean, there was virtually nothing in extra time from anybody.
No.
But 40 from us. Off the ball, in the pressing was virtually nothing. But 43 presses from Thiago in this match, just absolutely sensational.
Is that an 81 efficiency? Have I read that right?
Yeah, 81% efficiency as well.
That's brilliant for him as well.
And then Jota only plays 90 minutes, comes on and gets 33 presses. So slightly less, slightly lower efficiency from Diogo. But Sadio Mane and Diaz and Keita were the other players to get 30 plus in this match.
And while we're giving Hendo a bit of praise, because I think it's worthwhile, percent efficiency there for 100%,
100% pressing efficiency. That is
excellent. Yeah, that's
good.
I mean, let's just show what we just said. He's coming to form at the right.
Yeah, and most of Hendo's top target was on Pulisic as well, which kind of makes sense as well.
Yeah, because he's in that zone of the pitch. He's in left half space.
That's an absolute revelation because it's been something that his decision making on the presses since when I started collecting first half of the season, it was arguably the worst. Just making bad decisions of when to press, but he has to make intelligent decisions as the 6.
Yeah,
and for 100% confirms that, doesn't it?
So
go on.
Yeah, we talked about Thiago there. We talked about Hendo. The other one quickly, Rhodesy, Trent. Absolutely tremendous performance from Trent.
Well,
do we have any stats for Trent?
Defensive, everything. About as complete a fullback performance as you're ever likely to see. Thankfully, there was no things before the game focusing on how bad he is defensively that we've had before off the previous cup final. You could show this one as an example to any player of just complete everything that he did in this game was amazing. On the ball, the through balls, the crossing, the tracking. It cleared one from Pulisic 6 yards out in extra time, just as you think he's going to tap it in. It. And then you've got the pressing as well. What was his pressing numbers? I thought
he had the most passes in the match, and he had the most XG chain in the match, according to between the posts.
Yeah, he had 76 accurate passes.
Yeah,
4 key passes, which we know helps with our non-penalty XG.
Yeah, one of those was a big chance as well.
One of those big chance. Yeah. So I mean, that bullet of a ball, second half picks it up and just drives it into Diaz. 30, 40 yards with no backlift. That is, I personally think he's gone up to another level in this running.
In his distribution
and his defensive work as well. I know we've never said he's been a problem, but I just think he's even more focused. The number of times in this game he was positionally correct and clearing, like Rhodesy said, was phenomenal, and he's still doing the output. So I thought he was man of the match, personally.
Yeah, Diaz got it, didn't he?
I know, but I thought
I was going to say. I mean, because they're the contenders. I think were the other 3 players we just mentioned, were they? Hendo.
Yeah, Canate was. Konate's ability to be strong. I mean, we knew that anyway, but the running he did with Lukaku and others, just run with them and hold them off and win the ball, it shows you everything we need to know about it. That's why we bought him.
I just thought that Konate and VVD was so aggressive against
Lukaku.
They would come so far and then accelerate past him and bully him almost. Yeah. I thought, it
was just funny when Lukaku was all right. I'll pull on to at him, and then Konate was like, "No, you're all right. I'm going to win this ball, thanks." And played in. Do you know what I mean? It just happened all the time. He was trying to, because the target man, whatever you want to call it, will typically try and find the weaker of the centre halves, right?
Yeah,
that's just what he's trying to do. And he, like you said, they were both so aggressive against him. He couldn't go anywhere.
To be honest, I remember a game when Lukaku played for Everton where Alberto Moreno marked him out of a Merseyside derby. Everybody was shitting themselves because it was at the time when Lukaku was playing on the wing, and he was and he was a matchup against Moreno, and he was an absolute non-factor in the match. It was hilarious.
Yeah, nice, good times.
Great times. Right, okay. Analytical question. Right, should extra time in cup finals be scrapped?
Yes.
No. I think they don't even have replays, but I think for cup final, I don't like them being decided on penalties. I know it's not possible anymore to have another replay, but I think
nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
It didn't. And then these two sides have played a lot of games. It didn't offer anything, but I think you've just got to try and have a little bit more play to try and decide the game in on the pitch rather than in the penalties.
Here's another alternative. You do the extra time, but you allow more subs.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Another 3 subs or something. So
because I think part of the problem was here. I think apart from Chelsea, nearly all the subs were used. You know, I think we changed Costas, didn't we? He should have come on the start of extra time. I don't know why Robbo started extra time. And then they did their usual sub for a penalty type thing, whatever they were doing out there, Chelsea. Yeah. But I do think if you'd given another set of players, maybe another 1 or 2, it might have freshened it up. But we created no XG in extra time.
Well, there was 3 shots in total. And what was the Wisecout on the total on the 3 Chelsea shots in extra time?
3 Chelsea.
0.07%. Oh no, Thiago's got a 30%.
What, in extra time?
Yeah, the header from a corner.
Oh.
They gave Thiago that 30%. That's why. Jesus Christ. Give up.
Don't like to use it.
Wisecout, good for video, shit for everything else. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of our pass completions in extra time as well. Milner 50% pass completion.
It weren't great, was it?
No, Tsimikas 67, Trent 71, yeah, Jota 75, Bobby 50.
Yeah. That's another story, isn't it? So,
did he look rusty?
Yeah.
Was it me, or did every time he went for a ball, he went with a karate kick? It was like there's a chance really late on of a free kick, gets lofted to the back post, exactly where we needed to, and rather than Bobby just calmly chesting it, bringing it down and playing it in, he tries some weird karate volley thing, and then we lose the ball. And it was like, I don't know what you're doing, but that's the second time you've done it, and I don't. It was like he just looked really rusty. His hold up play wasn't there. He wasn't dribbling with it, but he hasn't played, has he? So
no, it's been a good 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Now, last thing, the shootout. Our old friend, I got in touch with him Sunday night because, I said to him, I sent him a DM on Twitter. I said, "Are you plugging all the FA Cup penalty shootout into your app for your penalty kicks?" And he said, "No, but I will do. Thanks for the reminder." And then he went and did it and pushed it out the next day. So I don't even know the chap's name. Just penalty kick stat, but he's always a legend. Anyway, there's his penalty kick dashboard. Now, story of this one for me, right, is overall Chelsea's highest rated penalty was Reece James, which is 0.8, and we had 4 pens greater than or equal to 0.89. Now, if that doesn't go on
at the bottom where just because a lot of football fans who aren't interested in stats, when you just say something like 0.36, like what you're talking about, look at how he's structured it. So between 0.7 and 0.8 is a weak penalty. Between 0.8 and 0.9 is a good penalty, and then above that is superb. So if you said to somebody, a non-stats listener, we had 3 superb pens and 3 good pens and 1 weak pen, that makes more sense than looking at the numbers, doesn't it? It's a really good way of doing it.
So,
and we had 3 superb penalties.
Yeah, what, 4? 4, Rhodesy?
4. Well,
yeah.
Firmino,
Thiago, Jota, and Milner. So, and I just think that we can't possibly know whether Neuro 11 have made a difference. We don't know what neurological baselines we were doing. We don't know if the technology works yet. But we have to assume that if you were going to try and quantify something, such as improved set piece taking, this is the kind of numbers that you could produce, because you were basically trying to place a ball within the frame of a goal as close. You want to be in the top half of the net, and you want to be as close to the corners as you can, and that's risky, isn't it, Barts?
Yeah, very risky. And this is 2 shootouts in a row. Where we've only missed 1 penalty. And Ali pulled a save off as well. Is that his first penalty save?
Yeah, and it's not only we've only missed 1 penalty, but we've been painting the corners in most.
We have.
Most as well.
The other thing to add to this, I just put a thread in that Sai originally retweeted on our prep, and we noted in the last Carling Cup that we stopped Chelsea playing their mind games by the fact that keeper picking the ball up and giving it to our takeout, which Ali did in this. But if you look through this thread, I'm not going to start to pronounce his name. He talks about the stages and how we are the masters of the marginal games, because the prep that Klopp and his team did before extra time had even finished meant that they had more time with the squad to give them a good speech and everything and relax and get mentally prepared for the shootout than Chelsea. There's mistakes that Tuchel made. He hadn't even got his lineup ready for the shootouts, and they're halfway through their time in the break, so he's having to give that line out in the huddle rather than giving the team talk. Right. And also, in terms of psychology, Klopp has already spoken to all of his takers on an individual basis. So if they didn't want to take it, they could say no without repercussions from the group, whereas Tuchel had to do it in front of people. So if anybody didn't want to take it, they were in no place. They're not going to say no because that's against the team. So it's just again, linking it with Neuro 11 and the rest of it, all these marginal gains that we have to do, to be frank, to compete with the money and the oil, we do. And we've got a superb backroom team that has got us to this place. Yeah. And hats off to Klopp for embracing it, because he doesn't have to. Other coaches don't, but he does.
So, brilliant. Thank you for that, Barts. Now, one of the ones I want to just mention, a really good example of this, came yesterday in the West Ham Man City League game. Because I put this out on Twitter and some people said, Barkley's was a boss penno. He blammed it. And I was saying, well, Riyad Mahrez took a better pen than Ross Barkley because it was just as powerful and it was closer towards the corner. And Fabianski saved it because it was at the right height for the keeper. He got 2 big hands to it and he beat it away. Right? If Alisson goes the right way, that Barkley pen is savable, isn't it? Because it's not high enough in the net.
Yeah, it's 0.66. Yeah.
The only reason it looks great is because Alisson dives the wrong way and he blams it and he almost rips the net out because he hit it so hard. But the point is, it's savable, and I think that's what this model shows us, is that Firmino and Milner both brush the keeper's gloves from Mendy on the way into the net, but they've got the power and they've got the trajectory to go, and they're heading into that top half of the net, and so therefore that they become very, very difficult to save, because then I think, how would you phrase this, Barts? They're outside the keepers, what they can naturally reach in terms of their diving.
Well, it's on the limits, isn't it? I mean, Mendy's a tall keeper, which is why he got near that, and Alisson is as well. But yeah, it's outside their normal reach to grasp that. It's equally. That's why we go for the corners. Like Thiago's is 0.9 in the bottom left-hand corner. Yeah. So Mendy's got to guess right, and he's got to get down. Yeah. And stretch completely into the corner to save that. So yeah, you're playing. These are phenomenal penalties. They really are.
Yeah. Rhodesy, talk about the big moment. It was all set up for Sadio again to be the hero for the third time in, 3 months? What did you think? Did you think he was going to score when he walked up?
Yeah, so it kind of ended up like the Jorginho pen or a Hazard pen where you put it low and you hope the keeper's going the wrong way, or you send the keeper the wrong way, or you wait for the keeper to move. But let's be honest, it was a shocking pen. Absolutely.
The one he did to win AFCON, he absolutely laces it into the bottom left corner, doesn't he? He blams it. I didn't see the one he did to win the World Cup playoff. What was that one like? Did you see that one?
I can't remember.
That was blasted as well, was it?
Yeah.
Didn't Klopp
told him to change his run up because it was Mendy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that was my question to you, Rosie. Do you think the fact that he did all these pens with Mendy in training, do you think that affected it?
Well, that's Klopp said that's what he thought. Somebody if obviously sees where you're going all the time and you're doing the practice, and that Klopp said to him to change. And I think once you change from something you're used to, because Klopp, for all the other players, agreed, they talked about where they were going to shoot, so they were all certain. And then I guess Mane was certain, and then suddenly he's going, I've got to do something different now. Yeah, and you can see the execution is terrible, and it's a poor pen, and it's pretty.
Well, it was 0.8 on the model, on the penalty kicks, that model, so same as Reece James.
0.8 or 0.6? Yeah. I guess it is 0.8.
Yeah. But then, okay, it looks like. Were you worried at this point now? Especially because the Chelsea fans are cock a hoop, and then who was it?
Churchill celebrating like he's won it,
and then Alonso comes out and puts him ahead. I think at that point.
Yeah.
But and then Diogo steps up.
Not worried.
0.99.
And that is, I think it's fair to say, that is absolutely clutch, because if you believe in momentum, it was with Chelsea when Diogo was stepping up, right?
Yeah. Momentum in a game, as we've said, is, we were all happy with that, right? But Diogo stuck to his job and put it away. 9-9 is a great penalty.
Yeah, but he was power, and it was right in the top bins. Anyway. And then it's like it's been distracted by Hughes posting in the live show chat. Good God. Right, but then the man steps up, the hero, the Brazilian god, delivers again, Rhodesy. Absolutely tremendous stop from Mason Mount. He wasn't a soft pen, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are really worried about Mount's penalty taking.
Were they?
Yeah, I think so.
He missed for England, didn't he?
Did he? I can't remember that. Yeah.
That's the third final he's lost at Wembley in a year.
God. Wow. He's becoming a Jonah, is he?
Yeah, what a save. 0.71 was Mount's penalty, so I guess it's where...
It's just it was the height. It's the height, even though he had the power. Yeah. It was the height and the low. It wasn't far enough over. So, but a big, strong hand. And then we get to celebrate a new hero. It's always nice when you get an slightly unlikely hero to join you. To get he's now got his own little piece of Scouse legend now, hasn't he? Costas for that.
It's like when Kev scored the winning penalty in the last fight.
Yeah.
Unknown just steps up and scores, and I thought Costas was going to score. I have to say, I didn't have any problems with this at all. I thought we've won this. Right. As soon as Addy had saved it, I was like, right, Costas is going to score this. It's fine. Brilliant. And I didn't expect him to roll it in, though. Pretty much roll it in. But,
he played chicken with him.
Yeah, but it was a good pen again, So was it?
Mentioned that Mount's pen was spinning back into the net, and had Alisson walked off, celebrating the save, and the ball spins back in the net, it counts. So not only did he save it, he had enough about him to then catch it as it's coming back to him.
Yeah. Marginal gains again, isn't it? Marginal gains. I mean, just so something like I'm old enough to remember Alan Kennedy in the Stadio Olimpico against Roma, and he as well. It's players like that, isn't it? Rhodesy, it's slightly less heralded, but they all get there.
celebrations in that one either from Costas, because he runs across the pitch back round and then sees that he's running towards the Chelsea fans and goes, "Oh no, I'll cut back across again." So you've got like 25 people running around in a circle.
Yeah. But he's going to be there. He's going to be in songs. He's going to be on banners. He's going to be on murals just for that moment alone, isn't it? It's fantastic.
And rightly so.
And rightly so. Okay. I just realised, did we do the stats profile for the final, Rhodesy?
We didn't do a match summary, but
just to wrap up now. Just give us the match summary for that Chelsea.
Yeah, it was 17 shots to 10, 1.7 average XG to 1.1. Clearly had it a little bit lower. The Opta one was exactly on that, and it was 1.5 to 1 on the between the posts. 3 big chances to 1, but I think the best stats is Anfield Analytics. It was posted on Discord. This was the most steps taken for a Hendo shuffle, 30 steps. For the
He's got shuffles, that's my word.
26 in the Carabao, 20 in the Champions League, and 18 for the 34. Important stats.
Yeah.
But, get it.
Superb. Right.
Please,
any other business chaps?
This season.
Yeah. Sorry, Rhodesy.
I said, please have another couple of Hendo shuffles this season.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Right. But we do have to talk very, very quickly about Southampton, because we still have a chance of winning the Premier League, but we have to win against Southampton. We also play against Wolves on Sunday. We play against Southampton tomorrow. We play against Wolves 5 days later on Sunday, and then we have 6 days before the Champions League final. Yeah.
Yep.
How are we going to get? Because we won't have even had a full recovery day after playing extra time in the final, will we? To get back
no. I mean, they were in late Saturday night and Sunday recovering, so they won't be anything. Yeah, let's be frank. They were just got in.
Yeah. I want to just ask you about Klopp's classic quote after the match that victory is the best physiotherapist. As a sports scientist, what do you say to that?
No, no, it's not. I think you get people who delusional is the wrong word, but they might get drunk on the fact
adrenaline.
Yeah. Like Robbo probably said he was fine at the break at 90, but it was very clear that he was absolutely shot. He should have come off. I'm hoping he's all right. He's not done more damage in playing the 11 minutes he did of extra time. But no, I mean, the key area is midfield, isn't it? Which is what we're probably all sat there going, right, what's going to be the choices?
Because 2 of them have just played 2 hours.
2 hours.
Fabinho's injured, not going to be risked.
No, Naby came off from 75.
Yeah, so he'll play.
So there's a chance he'll play. And that doesn't actually help, though, because as I posted in the chat, they're all in the red. Henderson is actually the least under. So they've all got a threshold of when they get injured. Okay, and they're all currently at that threshold or above. And Hendo is below, is the least amount above his threshold, if that makes sense.
So are we going to see a James Milner masterclass against Southampton? Milner, Jones, Keita?
Maybe. I have a funny feeling. You might call me mad. I think he will play. I think he'll play Henderson. Okay. I think it's because for me, we've discussed this, and I've been in and out of because of work with conversations. But unless we win this game, Sunday doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
you can deal with injuries.
Klopp's philosophy all season has been win the game in front of you.
Win the game in front of you. I've just put I've updated a couple of charts. You can have a look, give you an idea of the combinations, and hopefully maybe shed some fear. The blue dot is your key one. That's Milner, Henderson, Hendo, and Naby. And as you can see, they're not that far away. Yellow in the top one, your most played Thiago, Fab, and Hendo, and the blue is close to that. The blue is then close on the bottom one, which is XGA and non-penalty XG difference with CJ, Fab, and Hendo. So They're all kind of in. There are some good performers. Obviously, the green might be the pinnacle, if you like, and the black, which is Naby Fab Hendo, being slightly lower in terms of non-penalty XG and that. But so there are differences. What I would say, if we do play that, we are probably going to concede a bit more XGA, but our output will still be as high. If you look at the graphs there, all right, and that should be enough, I think, to win the game.
So Salah's not going to be risked.
No.
Sadio, he's just played 2 hours. So do we see swan song for Divock?
Well, I mean, I think one of those reserves is which, I mean, Taki's not there. He's been nowhere near the first team, so it's probably going to be Origi.
Origi, Jota, Diaz.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't put it completely out of Klopp's mind to play Mane.
Yeah.
He asked Fab how he felt before the Villa game, right?
Right.
And Fab went, yeah, I'm all right, even though the sport said he's on the red.
Okay.
So Klopp is also a...
Oh, yeah, Bobby.
That's probably more likely than Divock. And actually, that might work quite well.
Yeah, Bobby will come back into midfield essentially.
Yeah, with Naby, and we could. I mean, I'll do the scouting report overnight and post it tomorrow.
And then it's definitely going to be Gomez and definitely going to be Simicas and probably Matip and Konate.
Yeah, which actually for that last half an hour looks absolutely fine. Yeah. I will do the scouting.
We haven't even mentioned that we had no VVD, no Fabinho, no Salah, and Milderson, and so the dreaded Milderson partnership by some of our fans, and Chelsea didn't even look remotely like beating us.
No. I just think it's, as I said, we've got to win this game. I think Klopp is still an emotional guy at times. He still asks his players. He will listen to the advice, but he will still ask his players. I can't see the captain not saying I'll play. Yeah,
and then this is the risky game in terms of, because then you've got 5 days between this and Wolves anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that's fine.
That's fine.
And then 6 days.
Fine-ish. If we got to get through the Southampton game.
Yeah. Apart from the players who are already carrying the knocks, of course. So then they're pretty much not going to be seen now until the final, are they?
No, I'd be shocked if you saw Fab Van Dijk and Mo before the final. Yeah. I mean, Sai said that Fab might be close to training, but he's not going to be risked tomorrow, and that's what Klopp said today as well. He's not going to risk tomorrow, and I don't think you'll see Thiago tomorrow either. No. Right. I think you're relying on Naby to do the job, basically.
Rhodesy, any other business?
No, mate. No.
Okay.
Hopefully we just win, and then hopefully the next pod is a 6-point pod. We've had a few.
Absolutely. The second part of the quad is now down. It's done. Yeah. It is still on. It's still possible. Anything can happen. Let's see. Bring it on. Come on. And we will be back next Tuesday for a double header of Southampton and Wolves. Until then, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.